Hey Danielle, sorry for some of the background noise. My computer's fans are going crazy right now, but hopefully it'll chill out and hopefully everything will be understandable. I'm going to start by looking at the sidewalk here. So let's take a look at your keyframes. I'm going to just make some marks, whoops, here to identify your keyframes real quick. Okay, so here's our loop. I'll talk about these and then I will continue on later to look at the other ones just to make sure that everything is fine. So one of the things that was catching my eye immediately is your arms feel short. And I don't know where that's coming from. I could probably help if you don't know where that's coming from or why that is. I could probably help you troubleshoot that. They just feel a little short. Like, I don't know. Like they only come down to your character's, pelvis, and maybe I kind of expect them to come down mid-thigh. So maybe there's a couple ideas I have about this. Maybe your torso's being stretched up through some of the IK, like torso controls, those two. Like if this one gets translated up, it will stretch out the torso. But another thing that may be happening is that like maybe the arms have gotten shortened. I think there's some controls in the arm controllers that shorten them up. Otherwise, it's not a huge deal. I don't want to cause any big stress or issues from it, but if you can figure it out, I don't know, like they look kind of comically short. So anyways, back to the animation. This is all cool. I like the way that your pelvis is twisting and everything here looks good. Your stride length looks pretty good. I think maybe I would suggest, and this is a minor thing, so no biggie, but maybe I would suggest that this foot gets a little bit more of a bend in it. And what that would allow you to do is hopefully you'll get just the tiniest little bit of bend in this knee, just to show it. Here it looks pretty hyperextended, but yeah, I don't know. It's not a huge deal. Otherwise, it's looking pretty good. Maybe, and this is maybe, it's up to you, you want to consider taking this like cog control, the big one, and just rotating it a little bit down in X. And why I'm suggesting that is so it kind of pitches the torso forward even maybe a little bit more, but I'll leave that up to you. And that would be something you'd want to kind of maintain across all the poses, but otherwise don't sweat it. Again, these are just tiny little things, and I probably drew it too exaggerated here. Of course, don't think my drawings are like me saying 100% this is the right answer, but maybe just pitch a little bit forward. I don't know. One of the things I did notice when I played it, oh, nope, never mind. I'm going to abandon that thought. I'm going to just keep going through the poses, and let's do this more methodically. I love this leg, how it's picking up there, that foot. That looks fantastic to me. Yep, and I feel like the height change on the pelvis and everything going on here, the pelvis is twisting back as the stride closes, so all that feels really nice. Here is feeling nice, yeah. Cool stuff. So, again, I think if this pose is this pose, seeing this heel pick up a little bit more like I suggested here feels like the right note to me now, especially that I see it in context, because the angle of this foot being like that and the angle of that foot is very similar. You know what I mean? So maybe a little bit more of a change in there would be fantastic. All right, now I'm going to talk about your arms a little bit, but overall, I like where you've arrived with most of this leg stuff and the center of gravity up and down stuff. I think like this is all working strong and is exactly where you should be. All right, so let's talk about the arms. I think let me play through it and take another little gander here. All right, cool. I'm seeing a hitch, but that's because we're essentially playing one frame twice. So let me get marks for the other frames here just to take a look at the full cycle stuff. This should be the same as this. Cool. So we don't need a keyframe here, really. So let's see. Okay, so let's talk about arms. I'm going to focus on this red arm here first. This looks like maybe a good amount of change for now in that arm swinging forward, but something I would do here is straighten out your elbow just a little bit. So this is where your hand is in this pose. We don't want to keep the hand still in space, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to introduce like a little bit of drag. So straighten out your elbow maybe to where the hand is a little bit closer to where it was than to where it is. This drawing doesn't necessarily make 100% sense of that, but what I'm hoping for is that you can kind of straighten the arm at the elbow joint here in this place. And then here, this one really catches my eye, the change from this key to this key, because your arm doesn't look like it's progressing through its swing forward here, and it looks like it's kind of bending even more, which is not, I think, the right approach. I think the arm should continue, this upper arm should continue swinging here. Let me turn off ghosting, because that may make some of these drawings a little more legible. But yeah, swing it forward more, keep it, it can like get quite a bit straighter. It could almost be straight. Maybe that's another reason why I feel like the arms look a little bit small, is because we're kind of missing this. And you know that the hand is like here when it starts. So what we're trying to do is get this nice like swingy arc on the arm and the hand as it comes down. So I think, yeah, straighten it out a little bit here. I will move on. And this I think here and here, like that looks kind of like the same angle to me. So for this part of the arm, I back it off a little bit. You know, keep it a little bit straighter. Again, these are tiny notes. But I think even in just, if you can kind of isolate the drawings in your mind's eye, it's going to seem like it swings better. And then here on this pose, again, the change between this arm angle isn't a lot. So I would start swinging the arm back, you know. So it goes from like here to something like here. You know what I'm saying? Again, my drawings aren't exact. And this is a good opportunity, again, to increase the bend in the elbow a little bit so it looks like the hand has a little bit of inertia and momentum, that kind of secondary action. We love that. And then this is actually, I like this arm pose here, progressing back again. So I think maybe we made the full loop. Yeah, but maybe even here I would straighten it just a little bit. That's a big bend. But again, just see what feels right as you watch it animate through the poses, whatever feels right for you. But yeah, and I'm sure the same is going to be true of the blue arm for the notes I gave on the red arm. They look like they're pretty similar in their posing. Like they're kind of mirrors and twins of each other. All right, cool. Let me play through this again. All right, so there is some stuff. There is like a little bump I'm seeing here. So this is kind of like where it's going to be the translate. Oops, didn't mean to do that. It's going to be the translate Z here. Looks like here there's, I should have put the translate Z. It looks like there's a little translate Z value on this center thing that's making the pelvis kind of leap forward in space. So, hey, let me get out another wonderful color. Like, this is your pelvis, this is your pelvis. And if I turn on ghosting, I think we're going to see that here it jumps from like here to here. So I think you have a little forward motion in there, and then it goes back to kind of where it should be. So that's probably just an errant key you have to clean up. Not a big deal. Yeah, so I think all of these are just the same poses repeated. I think that's where we see that little translate Z. Okay, so now that you're moving forward. If you do those little notes, hopefully that won't take you too long and you can start moving ahead. I'm not sure if you meant to have, this is on 82 and this is on 86. So there's 1, 2, 3 frames in between. That is good as far as the timing, you know, the 4-frame timing. That's a good thing. But then to get to this next pose, it's like 5 frames. So I would tighten this up. I would -1 frame on the timing just to keep it even. Is going to keep it easier on you when you have to do in-betweens. Because like here, you can put it in between right here on 84, and it's going to be halfway between your 2 poses. But here, there's no halfway between. It's either going to be 88 or 89. So if you bump this frame back 1 frame, then that's going to be your perfect half. So when you start doing your breakdowns on this, it's going to make things simple. So the same is true here. I think there's just like 1 too many frames between these poses. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if there was like, if you felt like it seemed like it was walking too fast otherwise, but it's that would be my suggestion, is to get everything so that, you know, you're going to be able to have that clean, easy half frame when you put your breakdowns in. One last thing, when you go to put your breakdowns in, maybe get a little up and down rotation on the head. It doesn't have to be massive, but just something to kind of keep it loose, make it feel a little bit organic. And you can, this is also an opportunity to put a little bit of like overlap follow through on the head. So when the character is pushing up into its highest pose, the head is still not at its highest. But here, like when the pelvis starts to come down in space, that's when the head starts to like rotate up a little bit. And you can even have the head continue to rotate up a little bit here, because this is then it'll come to, this is the lowest point here. So the head rotating up when it hits the lowest point is fine. And then in this pose, when the pelvis starts to come up again, I think you kind of want, that's when the head stops coming up and starts to transition going down. You'll have to play with the spacing and timing and everything to make sure that it looks good, but that'll help loosen this up quite a bit. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at it from the front. Cool. And I'm going to put it, well, let's see. Let's identify your keys again. Sorry for using red. I don't mean to use such a judgy color. It's not my intention. It just is one of the default colors, of which there are 4. Okay, so we're looping here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be the loop of that. Cool. Nice. So I'm going to get rid of these 2 keys. Oh, duh, I got some secret. All right, and then there we go. Okay, looking at these keys. Let's switch away from the color of judgment. So one thing I'm missing here, let me put out an out point. Here we go. When I play this, I'm kind of missing some of the side to side movement I want to see on this center of gravity. So looking when the character is, when their weight is on this leg here, right? In order for the character not to want to fall over to the right here, when people walk, they're gonna adjust their weight slightly over this leg that has all the weight, right? And again, if you can get a little rotation on the hip, kind of like this, you know, to show that the weight is pushing up on that pelvis. So all the weight, this leg is supporting all the weight of the character. So that force is like coming up through the ground, through the leg. It's pushing up on this pelvis, which causes it to rotate that way a little bit. You know, that'll make it look a little bit more organic and a little like looser and just a little more realistic. And of course, because your pelvis is tipped like this, you will counter, the human body will counter the shoulders a little bit in the opposite direction. So tiny little adjustments here, but if you do this here, and it should be here, and it shouldn't swap over to the other leg until maybe like this frame, because this foot is fully planted. When that foot is fully planted, then, you know, the opposite's going to be true. It's going to be like this. The weight is fully on that other leg. The hip will rotate the other way. So then these have to be like your in-betweens between this pose and this pose. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, please get in touch and I can explain it more in detail. But I do want to see a little bit of left and right movement from the front view. Also, if I'm looking at your feet, we have that thing that's common where they're kind of locked on these lateral planes to like this axis. And so we want to introduce like a little bit of an arc, like maybe the feet are swinging in here, you know, when they pass, but we need a little something to kind of like, either they go like this as they come forward, or maybe they go like this as they come forward, whatever looks right to you, whatever works. But we need to break them up off of those like perfect axes from the front. Yeah. Looking at the arms from the front. Yeah, cool. There's a little, like, so here the forearm and the hand is pretty straight, and here there's like a pretty big bend on it. I think it makes it feel a little bit loose, but maybe I'll just back off on that bend ever so slightly. Not a big deal, but maybe just back off on that bend. That's a pretty small note, but that'll help you make sure that you're not going to intersect the leg with your fingers here when they pass by. Because right now I feel like maybe once it's splined and we can see that like particular exact moment, we're going to see that maybe they're kind of going through the body a little bit. Yep. But other than that, things look great. Sorry, this ran a little long, but I would, you know, try to fix up these poses best you can, and do the in-betweens. Then still unstepped for next assignment submission. All right, great work. Keep it up.